Long before the dawn of human complexity, our survival was already governed by ancient automatic mechanisms written directly into our biology. The simplest of these is the reflex, a biological shortcut engineered for pure speed. When you pull your hand away from a burning surface, the emergency signal bypasses your brain entirely, coordinating directly within the spinal cord. In the theater of survival, a fraction of a second is the ultimate boundary between safety and irreversible tissue damage. The body cannot afford the luxury of a conscious decision. It simply acts. While reflexes are immediate and rigid, instincts operate as complete, unlearned blueprints of complex behavior. A newborn baby enters the world and instantly knows how to coordinate its breath, lips, and tongue to nurse with flawless precision. There was no practice. There was no prior observation. You can choose to fight an instinct temporarily, as one does during a voluntary fast, but you cannot choose to make the underlying impulse disappear. Hunger does not dissolve under the weight of human logic. These systems do not wait for our permission or rational thought. They exist for one uncompromising purpose: to ensure that an organism can feed, evade danger, and protect life from the very second it is born. We stubbornly believe our senses offer a flawless window into reality, but in truth they only gather fragmented raw data. Perception is the silent architect by which the brain translates these incomplete physical signals into a coherent experience. When you sit in a noisy room, your ears miss half the spoken syllables, yet your brain seamlessly reconstructs the missing gaps so that you hear a complete sentence. It does not seek a perfect replica of the world. It merely constructs a useful blueprint that allows you to act quickly. It doesn't aim for perfection. It aims for sufficiency. However, this master storyteller relies entirely on attention, the ruthless gatekeeper that decides which tiny fraction of data enters our conscious awareness. Because maintaining focus requires immense biological energy, the brain constantly recalculates its priorities based on context. This explains a surprisingly common glitch known as the doorway effect. The moment you cross the threshold into a room, your brain registers a shifting environment, clears its temporary working memory, and causes you to completely forget what you went in there to find. Without this vital, exhausting filter, the sheer, unedited volume of reality would overwhelm the human mind entirely. What we experience is preserved, altered, and evaluated through a fragile alliance of memory and emotion. Contrary to human intuition, memory does not function like a video camera. It operates like a puzzle that the brain actively reconstructs from scratch every single time we attempt to remember. As it pieces together scattered fragments of an event, new details can be unconsciously woven into old truths. Much of this delicate revisionist work happens while you sleep, where deep sleep locks in the rigid facts, and REM sleep processes the emotional weight. We do not merely remember the past, we rewrite it every day. This shifting internal landscape is violently governed by emotions, rapid biological alarms engineered to rank immediate priorities. An emotion narrows your focus and alters your body's entire state within seconds, long before logic can even begin to analyze the situation. However, when these fleeting physical reactions are consciously interpreted over time, they crystallize into sentiments. An emotional surge of anger passes in minutes, but the conscious mind can reshape it into a lingering sentiment of resentment that dictates your decisions for decades. This entire symphony operates against the backdrop of your mood, the prolonged unseen weather of the brain. Driven by biological variables like sleep debt or fluctuating blood sugar, a mood regulates your long-term energy, quietly deciding how easily you can be triggered by the world around you. The ultimate peak of human evolution lies in our unique ability to transcend the immediate moment. Through thought, we operate an internal simulator, allowing us to mentally rehearse decisions and evaluate risks without facing the fatal costs of the real world. Yet we are not its absolute masters. Thoughts rise spontaneously. Ideas, fears, and memories float into your awareness without your permission. When this simulator gets stuck, it turns into rumination, a toxic loop where the mind burns massive energy replaying old errors without ever creating a solution. This internal landscape is deeply structured by language, a tool that does not merely express what you think, but actively dictates how you categorize and perceive reality. Change your words, and you instantly change how your brain attends to an experience. To guide these mental simulations, reason analyzes data and calculates long-term consequences. But pure logic cannot work alone. Without emotion assigning value to our choices, the logical mind becomes entirely paralyzed, unable to decide which outcome truly matters. Reason requires emotion to find its purpose. At the absolute apex of this system sits consciousness, the profound subjective experience of awareness. While your biology perfectly coordinates breathing temperature and reflexes on autopilot consciousness, steps in only when the routine fails. Paradoxically, brain experiments reveal that decisions often begin forming deep in your neural pathways seconds before you're consciously aware of making them. These 12 functions never work in isolation. They overlap, correct, and trade control of your life at every waking second, leaving us to wonder who is truly in control of this beautifully complex machine.